First at 4, Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe is in the hospital with fluid around his lungs and 7 broken ribs.
The governor was admitted to VCU Medical Center after his visit this morning in Norfolk. Governor McAuliffe was tossed from a horse during a holiday trip in Africa. Doctors expected the ribs to heal on their own, but fluid started to build up around his lungs. Doctors are draining that fluid.
The governor is going to spend the night in the hospital. He has been working, though, since the accident over the holidays. In fact, he delivered the State of the Commonwealth address just last week. And he met this morning with our Andy Fox in a live one-on-one interview.
Yeah, and Andy, as soon as we heard about this, we went to you and said, were there any signs in the interview that he was hurt like this?
No one was more surprised than I was. There were absolutely no signs at all. No signs of shortness of breath, nothing. I even went back and looked at our interview. Some of it you're about to see, and you'll see yourself. Doesn't look like there's anything wrong. And there are absolutely no signs of any distress, no pain, no problems walking. He took the governor's helicopter back to Richmond, and then his doctor saw something that wasn't quite right, and he was admitted to the hospital. However, this morning, it was business as usual, taking our questions on tolls and future road projects with no problems at all. In our exclusive one-on-one interview, Governor Terry McAuliffe reiterates the VDOT contract with ERC that put tolls on the downtown and midtown tunnels was such a bad deal, he's changed the way deals are done in Virginia, with more eyes on the deal.
Now, the Secretary of Transportation, the bill that he and I just introduced, has to sign it, the Secretary of Transportation, personally. No one was held accountable before. The tolls, worst deal I've ever seen negotiated.
Can you do any more to pay down the tolls?
I can't. I've done everything
I've done
everything I can.
The bottom line, Portsmouth residents, there will be no more buying down the tolls like before. I asked McAuliffe about tolls in the future, like possibly on 264. Yes or no? Will you work against new tolls on 264?
Sure I will.
The governor told me in 2 weeks he'll have his final new plan on the U.S. Route 460 corridor project.
Nobody was watching the shop. All I can tell you on Route 460, I stopped it because we had spent $300 million, and we're still counting, Andy. This is going to cost us money to unwind this deal. We have bondholder money involved in it.
And his philosophy on tolls moving forward is to maximize taxpayer dollars.
Tolls that make sense, that do not inhibit commerce, do not affect one's quality of life are what I like. But you can't build a transportation system without them. But they got to be sensible, they got to be reasonable, they got to be cost effective.
I ask you, did he look okay there? About an hour and a half after that, he was checked into the hospital. In our interview, I asked Governor McAuliffe about a lot of issues. At 5, he speaks about ethics reform, his friend Virginia Beach Mayor Will Sessoms and his troubles. And at 6, we report on military budget cuts that Governor McAuliffe claims will wreak havoc in Hampton Roads. See you at 5. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on your side.
And in your sides, Andy Fox was there too.
And Andy, you sat down one-on-one for an exclusive interview and talked about ethics reform. So how did Governor McAuliffe look to you?
Well, he looked fine just in the video right there. The man that you just saw in that video has 7 broken ribs. I mean, no one was more surprised about this than I was about these medical issues. I was with him for 30 minutes. No hint of any problem. He took questions on a lot of issues, including ethics reform and what he's doing to change the way Virginia does political business. I asked Governor Terry McAuliffe what damage the Bob McDonald gifts and loans from businessman Johnny Williams scandal has done to Virginia's reputation.
When I travel all over the globe, I'll be honest, when I go outside the country, the issue hasn't been raised to me at all. I mean,
but it is raised here in Virginia, sir.
What
damages have been done that you have seen?
Well, I don't know if I could say direct. It's been unfortunate. It has not put Virginia in a good light.
But does Governor McAuliffe know whether that bad light has chased away business?
I don't know, Andy, the companies who may have thought about coming to Virginia, but after having read it in the newspapers are now saying, I don't want to come there.
You don't have any evidence.
And we'd have no evidence of that, nor would we ever find out.
The governor says the McDonald ordeal ended the old way of doing business in Virginia.
Theoretically, you could give a Virginia politician $1 million. As long as you report it, it's legal.
Yeah. Why should politicians be taking trips to Kiowa Island?
They shouldn't.
Why should they be getting Rolex watches?
If you want to take a trip, like I do, pay for it yourself.
Governor McAuliffe has made it real simple for his family, his administration, their families, and him. No one takes over a $100 gift, and he supports an ethics committee with teeth.
has subpoena power to it, has the ability to investigate and sanction people who may violate it. Without that, it's meaningless.
He also says there is need to reform rules for those who serve on boards and commissions.
I want to get rid of this insane system we have where you can be on a board and commission in Virginia and you can vote on matters that help you, your family, your business partner.
Governor McAuliffe spent some time with Virginia Beach Mayor Will Sessoms, who also attended the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Leaders Breakfast at ODU. I asked the governor about Sessoms, who is now under investigation for votes that involve possible conflicts of interest.
He is a close friend, just as Governor McDonald was a close friend. Let the facts come out, and I always wait till the facts come out and the investigation's done.
Now, the man you just saw there in our report has 7 broken ribs. Looking at him, being with him, you wouldn't know. Governor McAuliffe also painted a picture of economic Armageddon if across-the-board budget cuts take place October 1st. Massive cuts to defense that will impact us right here in Hampton Roads. Tonight at 6, McAuliffe talks about how these cuts will impact us here in Hampton Roads. And the picture he paints isn't very pretty. In the newsroom, Andy Fox. 10 on your side. Tom, he made a point of telling us at the breakfast, he cornered Congressman Scott Ridgell and Bobby Scott to tell them something's got to be done to stop the defense budget acts.
October 1 is a judgment day for the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Governor Terry McAuliffe is talking about the automatic cuts to defense October 1st, known as sequestration. He paints a picture of defense cut Armageddon.
For them to go with a meat cleaver and cut this budget on October 1st will be devastating.
The meat cleaver is out because by October 1st, Congress must cut automatically $1.2 trillion. And if no deal is reached, there will be 10% cuts across the board. Defense gets smacked. Congressman Bobby Scott thinks it could happen because Congress doesn't want to raise taxes to offset those required cuts.
If you start off with the idea that you're not going to raise taxes, you're going to end up with sequester because no one would want to be associated with the kinds of cuts that would be necessary to come up with $1.2 trillion.
McAuliffe says so far defense cuts in Virginia alone total about $9.8 billion, with $50 billion nationwide looming. More hits for Hampton Roads.
Disproportionately going to affect Virginia because we're the #1 recipient. If we don't stop this and prevent sequestration, it will be devastating to the Hampton Roads economy.
After 1 year in office, McAuliffe's strategy to combat these defense cuts is clear. Worry about the big stuff. And the big stuff are jobs, the economy, diversifying the Hampton Roads and Virginia economies.
I'm proud to say that we've done about 270 economic development deals, almost $5.6 billion in economic development, which, Andy, is double what any governor in the history of the Commonwealth of Virginia has ever done in their first year. Double. I just let the numbers speak for themselves, and guess what? That's just an appetizer. I'm just starting.
Yes, a very animated Governor Terry McAuliffe, who at that time has 7 broken ribs, and he just tweeted thanking everyone for their well wishes. You would never have known he had 7 broken ribs. The sequestration issue is a huge one, and we here at 10 on your side will keep you updated at every turn of this bumpy ride towards potentially massive defense budget cuts on October 1st. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on your side.